Okachama wiped the sweat from her forehead using her backhand. She looked carefully at the stitched lines of the dress she had just finished sewing. The dress was well sewn, but the money she could get from it was barely enough to buy food for her children. Mama Chidi, are you not tired? You haven't eaten since morning. Take it easy on yourself now. Her neighbor Mama Nkechi said as she adjusted the basket of oranges on her head. Okacha forced a small smile. I am fine, Mama Nkechi. Besides, there are too many work to be done. Mama Nkechi shook her head. Ever since your husband died, you have not rested. Will you carry this whole world on your head? When she mentioned her husband's name, Okasha felt a sudden pain in her heart. It has been 5 years since the tragic accident. Chigozie was a hardworking contractor who always provides for his family until that fateful afternoon when he fell from an unfinished building. She could still remember the moment she received the news, the cries, the shock, the way her knees gave out as she held her pregnant belly. She forced down the tightness in her throat and went back to what she was doing. Mama Nkechi, if I don't do it, who else will? She whispered. As she walked home that evening, she held the little amount she had made for the day, just so she could use it to buy a small portion of gari and groundnut for her children. Although it was not enough, but at least her children would have something to eat. When she got to her tiny one room apartment, she heard the voices of her children and paused for a moment to let their innocent chatter soothe her heavy heart. Then she took a deep breath and pushed the door open. Mama is back. Chinaza, her youngest daughter, ran into her arms and hugged her. Okasha held her daughter and replied, How are you doing, my daughter? I am fine, Mama, Chinaza said. Ngozi, her eldest daughter, observant, studied her mother's face for any sign of tiredness and then asked her, Mama, did you eat today? Okasha smiled weakly and said, Yes, my dear, I ate at the shop today. Ngozi frowned. She had seen her mother sacrifice too much for them. The way she gave up her meals, the way she worked herself to the bone, the way she always put them first. As the children ate their meal of soaked gari and granite, Okasha sat silently, watching them. They had no idea the battle she fought for them every day. They had no idea how many nights she cried herself to sleep, wondering if she would ever be able to give them the life they deserved. But one thing she knew for sure was that she would never stop fighting for them. The year passed and the struggle continued. Okasha worked tirelessly, sewing clothes during the day and taking on menial jobs in the evenings. She scrubbed floors, washed clothes for wealthier families, and even carried heavy cement blocks at construction sites. Her children were her only motivation. Ngozi, you will finish school and you will go to the university. She would tell her eldest daughter every night, all of you will go to the university. Ngozi will always nod, but though deep down she was worried about how her mother would afford it. So one night, as they sat in their room, Ngozi, with a concerned voice, decided to speak up. Mama, please, I want to ask you a question. How are we going to attend university? Because me, I want to attend university immediately after I finish school, she asked hesitantly. I know you are trying, but I am just concerned about how the money will come about. Okasha sighed, pulling her daughter close. My dear, don't worry. You will go. All of you will attend university. I don't know how, but I know for sure that it will happen. But Mama, Chidi asked, we barely made enough to eat, not to talk of attending university. I know, my son, but all I want you to know is that God is always here for us and He will continue to provide for this family, she said firmly. But as the years rolled by, their situation became more harder than ever. So one afternoon, Okacha sat in her shop, staring blankly at the half stitched fabric before her. The thought of her children's school had been tormenting her for weeks, and the small house Chigozie had built before he died was their only real asset, and it was the last piece of him that he had left behind. So she had no other option than to sell it. When she got home that evening, she called her children together. My children, I have something to tell you. I have made a decision, she said, her voice steady, despite how hard it was for her to say it. I have decided that we will sell the house. Ngozi's eyes widened. Mama, what do you mean sell the house? No, we can't sell the house. Oh. Chidi clenched his fist. But Mama, this is our home, and it's the only thing Papa left for us before he died. We can't sell it, Mama. Okasha placed a hand on his shoulder. I know, but this is the only option we have left. And also, the only way I can be able to see you through school. If we sell the house, we can use the money for your education and use the remaining money to rent a smaller apartment. Ngozi, her eldest daughter, came to her mother and said, Mama, don't worry. You see, one day I will make you proud. I don't know how or when it will happen, but I know for sure that one day I will surely make you proud, she said with tears in her eyes. I know you, my daughter, and I trust you, she said with a small smile. And so the next morning, Okasha sold the house. But the money she realized from it was barely enough. So Okasha had to send only one person to the university. She sent Ngozi to the university and asked Shidi and Chinaza to wait behind. Although it was the hardest decision Okasha had ever made, but she knew it was the right thing to do. Then, as if it was by divine intervention, a scholarship opportunity came up. Chidi and Chinaza both bought forms and sat for the exams. And when the results were announced, they both passed. Mama, Mama, we did it! Chinaza burst into tears of joy. Okasha covered her mouth, overwhelmed. Oh my God! Thank you, my Lord. I know you have never failed me. Ah, so finally, my children will be going to the university. But there was a problem. This scholarship covered only tuition. Books and accommodation and other essentials were not included. Once again, Okasha found herself faced with a difficult choice. She had nothing left to sell, except for the last piece of land Chigozie had left behind. So that night, she lay awake, staring at the ceiling. She thought of all the years of struggles and sacrifices. She thought of her husband and the promises she had made to him to take care of their children. And then, the next morning, she sold the piece of land with the small money she realized and some of her savings. She used it to send Chinaza and Chidi to school. As she watched them board the bus to the university, she whispered a silent prayer. Lord, my children, please protect them for me. Let them succeed in every aspect as they go to school. She muttered, Amen. After they left for school, Okasha was left with absolutely nothing. Her rent had already expired. Her sewing business was not yielding anything, so she decided to travel back to the village. She packed few of her belongings and returned to the village. When she got to the village, She started from scratch again. She started frying akara and selling akamu by the roadside. It was an exhausting business, but she endured. She endured the hardship and the whispers of the villagers. Chai, I pity this woman. Oh. Her husband died, leaving the children for her to cater for. She even enrolled all of them into the university. She is really a strong woman, oh, and I pray they don't make it and forget her one day. One of the women, Mami Funaya, said to her friend while they were coming home from the morning mass. Okacha heard all these things, but she ignored them. She knew she had given her children wings to fly, and that was all that mattered. But unknown to her that the greatest betrayal of her life was yet to come. So the next morning, before the village rooster crowed to welcome the new dawn, Okasha was already at work. She set up a small wooden table near the main road, placed a charcoal stove beside it. She peeled and washed her beans. She grinded them into a smooth paste before spooning them into the sizzling hot oil. By mid morning, the smell of frying bean cake had already filled the air, drawing villagers to her stall. Okacha, is this what life has brought to you? Mama Chibuzo, her co-wife, sneered as she passed by. Okacha forced a smile. At least I'm not begging. I am working hard. Mama Shibuzo scoffed as she adjusted the basket of vegetable on her head. That's great, my sister, oh, but I hope they don't forget all these sacrifices and I pray they remember you. Okasha clenched her fist. They will remember me, Mama Shibuzo, she simply said. All right, though, Mama Shibuzo said, walking away. Mama Shibuzo's words stung, but Okasha ignored them. She knew she had to be strong and survive for her children. After some months, the small akara business started yielding profit for Okacha. She added pap to her menu. She woke up even more earlier to prepare it, although the money were barely enough. But she was happy that the little she made from her business was able to provide for her children's fees, textbook and other essentials at school. Her children used to send her letters to ask her how she was doing and how they were passing their courses. They also complained about how difficult it is in school, but they will always urge their mother to be strong and take care of herself. Each letter reminded her that her sacrifices were not in vain. So, after many years of sleepless nights and struggles, Chinaza and her siblings passed. Not only did they pass with first class honor, they also got a good paying job in good companies. Chidi got a job as a manager in an oil company with an official car. Chinaza, a pharmacist, got a good paying job in a pharmaceutical company, and Ngozi secured a job in a very big and popular law firm. When Okasha got the news of her children's success, she was very happy. She didn't know when tears of joy started flowing freely from her eyes. She knelt down and started thanking God. Oh Lord, you are the husband to the widow, and I thank you for not allowing the thoughts of the enemy come to pass. You are my fortress and my stronghold. You have never forsaken this poor widow. For that, I say thank you for not letting my family suffer. I bless your holy name. When she finished, she got up and entered her room. After some months, she got a letter from Chinaza that read, Mama, how are you doing? I hope you are fine. We are writing to inform you that the Lord has done it again. We built a house. I know it will come as a surprise. And we also want you to be here for the dedication of the house. You are the reason we have come this far. So don't worry about transport fare. We will send you money for the transport so you can come and see what the Lord has done for us. Till then, bye for now. Okacha pressed the letter to her chest, tears slipping down her cheeks. Her children had succeeded. Her sufferings were finally over. After some weeks, she prepared and set out for the city. It felt like a place she had never been before. The city was nothing like the village that she was already accustomed to. As the bus pulled into the terminal, she clutched her small bag tightly. Her heart was filled with a mixture of excitement and nervousness. When she got to her destination, her children were already waiting for her. Chinaza was the first to rush forward, wrapping her arms around her mother. "Mama," she shouted out of excitement. "My daughter," Okasha whispered, hugging her tightly. Chidi and Ngozi followed, their faces filled with tears of joy. "You look so thin, Mama," Ngozi said with a worried face. "Life has not been easy, my daughter, but I am fine now, seeing that you all have succeeded. And that is all that mattered," Okasha admitted, smiling. "You are right, Mama. It's all over now," Chidi said firmly. "Your suffering is over." Tears filled Okasha's eyes as they led her to the house. It was magnificent. A two-story building painted in bright colors with tall gates and a paved driveway. It was magnificent. A two-story building painted in bright colors with tall gates and a paved driveway. It was more than what she had ever dreamed of. Her children had finally made it in life. The dedication was meant to start the following day, so family and friends gathered. Their voice filled the large compound. It was a blissful ceremony. Then the next morning was the day for the dedication of the house. They invited a pastor to pray and bless the house. A well dressed man that stood in the center, holding a Bible in one hand, a bottle of holy water in the other. They began to pray. As the pastor's voice rose, his movements became frantic. Then suddenly, he stopped. A chilling silence fell over the crowd. His eyes scanned the people before him. Then his eyes locked on Okacha. "You!" his voice thundered. Okasha frowned. "Me?" The pastor pointed an accusing finger at her. "There is a dark presence here. There is a witch amongst us." Murmurs erupted in the crowd. The pastor's eyes darkened. This woman, she had been waiting for the perfect time to strike. She had bewitched her own children. Everyone gasped. Ngozi staggered back and said, "Pastor, what do you mean? What are you saying?" Chidi clenched his fist. "This can't be possible." The pastor sprinkled the holy water in Okasha's direction. She flinched and started reacting to the holy water. The cold liquid soaked her clothes. "Can you see how she reacts to this holy water?" the pastor cried. "She is burning." The crowd erupted in whispers. But when Okasha got herself, she raised her hands. "My children, I am innocent. You know I cannot harm any of you. I am not a witch." Ngozi's face was pale. Her hands were trembling. "Mama, why does the pastor say this? And why are you reacting to the water this way?" The pastor's voice boomed. "If you continue to help her, she would destroy you." Okasha turned to her children in desperation. "My children, don't you know me again? Do you not remember how I suffered for you? How I carried cement? How I went on days without food just so you could eat?" "Silence, woman!" the pastor roared. "That is how they deceive. Do not fall for her tricks." Chidi hesitated and Ngozi stepped back. Chinaza's eyes darted between her mother and the pastor in doubt. Then, before Okasha could process what was going on, "Mama, I am highly disappointed at you. And to think that you would bewitch us, your children. Mama, you have to leave. These words shattered her world. "Chidi, my son, you are asking me to leave your house?" she said with a trembling voice. "Yes, leave, so you don't finally finish us. I am so disappointed at you," Chidi said with a firm voice. And then Chidi turned to security guards and said, "Take her out. I don't want to see her or anything that looks like her, else you will lose your job." Two of them grabbed her by the hands, dragging her towards the gate. "No, my children, no, I am not a witch," Okasha screamed. She struggled against their grip. Chinaza moved forward, with tears streaming down her face. "No, no, leave my mother alone. She is not a witch. She is innocent. This is so wrong, Chidi." But just as she was about to follow them, Ngozi held her back, and the security men shut the gate behind her. Okasha stood outside the house her children had built, the home she had sacrificed everything for. Her body trembled as she placed a shaking hand against the cold metal gate. "My children, what have I done to deserve this treatment? I am not a witch. I cannot harm you. Please, my children, let me in." But no one was there to open the gate. Tears streamed down her face as she turned and walked away. Okacha walked through the quiet village road, her feet dragging through the dust. Her heart was heavier than it has ever been. The betrayal of her own children cut deeper than any hardship she had ever faced. She had suffered for them, she had sacrificed everything for them, and now they had thrown her away like she was nothing. She reached her small hut, pushed the wooden door open and stepped inside. The emptiness swallowed her whole. She sank onto the mat in the corner, burying her face in her hands. The tears were coming freely. It was hot and endless. "God, why me? Why have you allowed this to happen to me?" She cried into the darkness. For days, she was lost in thought. She barely ate, and she barely spoke to anyone. The pain was too much for her to bear. The village whispered, pointed fingers at her whenever she passed. "She is the witch they spoke of, heartless and unreasonable. To even think she bewitched her own children." But as the saying goes, every evil doesn't last forever. Now her charm has failed her, and her children had abandoned her. Mama Chibuzo, her co-wife, was the loudest of them all. She was enjoying every bit of Okasha's downfall. "Ah, Okacha, so this is how your story ends?" Eh? She sneered one afternoon as Okasha walked past her compound. "So you used charm on your children. For what exactly? And now the charm has failed and they have abandoned you. Maybe you are really a witch." Oh." But Okasha said nothing. She walked past her with her head bowed. But in all this, there was one person that was not convinced. It was Chinaza. Unlike her siblings, she couldn't ignore the nagging feeling in her chest. Something wasn't feeling right. How could the same woman who had given everything up for them suddenly become a witch? How? How could the woman who went hungry so that they could eat, who carried cement blocks so as she could pay their school fees, now be the one accused of wanting to destroy them? She lay awake at night, tossing around and recalling her childhood days. How she always asked her mother, saying, "Mama, why are you not eating? Come and join us now." But Okasha will reply, saying, "No, my child, I am not hungry. You eat." She would ask her mother why she was working so late, but she would reply her, saying, "Because I want my children to go to school." As she recalled these memories, tears rolled down Chinaza's cheeks. No, it doesn't make sense, and it's not really adding up. But as she dozed off to sleep, she dreamt of where she saw her mother chasing her. Her face was dark and filled with rage. But something about the dream was unnatural. She was determined to find out the truth. She sought out different prayer houses, hoping someone could explain what was happening. The answers were always the same. They would always tell her that her mother was a witch, that she wants to destroy them, that she should avoid her completely. Chinaza felt like she was losing her mind. How could all this be right? But then, her friend Nancy introduced her to a renowned pastor. She, why not try this pastor? He is different. Nancy reassured. He is a true man of God, and I believe he will give you the answers you seek. At first, Chinaza was hesitant because she had tried countless men of God and they would always tell her the same thing. But deep down, the urge to visit the pastor was so strong. So, in her desperation for answers, she visited the pastor and poured out her heart to him. She explained everything to the pastor, saying, Pastor, I don't know what to believe anymore. My mother has suffered for us. She gave up everything to train us. How can she now be a witch? And yet, when I sleep, I see her in my dreams, chasing me with a dark and angry face. I don't know what to think or who to believe anymore. The pastor listened carefully and then he sighed. My daughter, I think there's something wrong here. Chinaza looked up, startled. What do you mean, Pastor? The pastor leaned in forward. I mean, a woman who suffered this much for her children would not suddenly become a witch overnight or try to kill her children if she was truly evil. She would have not allowed you guys to succeed in the first place. So tell me, if she was using your destiny, how will you and your siblings make it in this life? Chinaza's heart pounded, but she didn't utter a word. The pastor then nodded. I believe your mother is innocent. Something else is at work here. We must pray and fast for a better and clearer revelation. He called for a 7 days fasting and prayer program involving Chinaza and her siblings. At first, Chidi and Ngozi were hesitant. Chinaza, allow this matter to rest. Chidi said, rubbing his temple. We have done what we needed to do. Let's not invite more problems. Ngozi folded her arms. Mama is a witch. Chinaza, let it go. Chinaza's voice shook with frustration. You both are ungrateful. If she were a witch, would we have made it to this point? We owe her everything. She hesitated and Ngozi looked away. Just do this for me, Chinaza pleaded. If after this we still don't find the truth, then I will never bring it up again. Just please do it for me. After much persuasion, they reluctantly agreed. So they started the 7 days program. But on the fourth night, the pastor had a terrifying dream. In that dream, he saw Okacha's face. She looked different and wild. Her eyes glowed red. Her fingers were long and sharp. She let out an evil laugh as she chased him. At first, the pastor started running but stopped and lifted his Bible. He began to pray. As he was praying, he saw the image flicker just like a mask, trying to stay in one place. Then he intensified his prayers, and then the marks began to crack. Suddenly, the real face emerged. It wasn't Okacha at all. It was Mama Chibuzo. The pastor gasped, jerking awake. Sweat dripped from his forehead as the realization dawned on him. It's not her mother, he whispered to himself. The true culprit is someone else entirely. That morning, he called Shinaza urgently. My daughter, I have found out the truth. Shinaza's heart pounded. What is it, Pastor? It was never your mother, the pastor said. The dreams and the vision and everything. It was all orchestrated by someone else, not your mother. Your mother is innocent. Then who is it, Pastor? Shinaza asked quickly. It is your mother's co-wife, Mama Chibuzo. She has been the one deceiving everyone all this time. Chinaza felt like the air had been sucked from her lungs. Pastor, what do you mean by it, Mama Chibuzo? She repeated in disbelief. Yes, the pastor confirmed. She planted these lies. She used dark powers to manipulate your dreams and the vision of those other pastors so that everyone will believe that your mother is evil. Chinaza's stomach turned. Why would she do this? It was jealousy, the pastor said, anger and bitterness, but the fire of God has consumed her. Chinaza swallowed hard. Her hands trembled. What do we do now, Pastor? You must tell your siblings, but most importantly, you must go to your mother and ask for forgiveness before it's too late. She has suffered too much already. Chinaza nodded and said, all right, Pastor, thank you very much. She immediately reached for her phone and called her siblings. They immediately rushed down to her house. When they arrived, Chinaza stood before them, her heart pounding. What is this, Chinaza? Your call was urgent, Ngozi asked with a concerned face. Chinaza took a deep breath. The pastor called. He told me everything. Mama is not a witch, she frowned. If she's not a witch, then who is? Chinaza hesitated for a moment before speaking. It's Mama Chibuzo. There was silence in the room. Then Ngozi scoffed. That's ridiculous. No, it's not, Chinaza said. The pastor had a vision. The woman who we always see in our dreams chasing us wasn't Mama. It was Mama Chibuzo. She disguised herself. She used dark powers to deceive everyone. That's why every pastor we visited saw the same thing. She was behind it. Chidi's expression darkened. You mean we have been bewitched this entire time? Chinaza nodded, with tears brimming in her eyes. We threw our mother away. We believed she was a witch, and now she is alone suffering. Chidi sat down, his hands running through his hair. We have made a terrible mistake, he whispered. Chinaza wiped her eyes. It is not too late. The pastor said we need to find Mama before it's too late. If we don't, we might lose her forever. Just after speaking, her phone rang. It was Chibuzo. Hello, Chibuzo. What is it? It's my mother, oh, he said with a choked voice. She has been calling for you, Chibuzo continued. She says she needs to confess before it's too late. As Chibuzo ended the call, Chinaza's heart pounded. We need to go. And so they rushed down to the village. When they got to the village, they saw Mama Chibuzo lying on a thin mat. She was looking so pale and sick. Okasha stood at a corner of the small hut. Her face was unreadable. She had been called to witness whatever would have been said. The three siblings knelt before Mama Chibuzo, their eyes filled with dread. Then she coughed. Her voice was so low. Oh, my children, you are here. Mama Chibuzo turned her weak gaze to Shady, Ngozi, and Chinaza. It was me, oh. I did it, oh. Ngozi stiffened. What did you do? I made you see your mother as a witch, she admitted. I planted those dreams. I made the pastor believe it. I wanted to destroy her because I was angry with her. Chidi's eyes burned with rage. But why? Mama Chibuzo coughed again. I begged her for 4,000 and she said she didn't have it. I knew she did, but she said that she was saving it to send to you and your siblings. So I became angry and it festered. I felt she valued you and your siblings more than anything, so I vowed to punish her. Tears streamed down Ngozi's face. So you did all this because of 4,000 naira. Mama Chibuzo coughed again, weaker this time. I I was so wrong. Please forgive me. She turned her gaze to Okacha, who had not moved. Her expression was unreadable. Okasha, my co-wife, please forgive me. Okasha exhaled, tears glistening in her eyes. You turned my own children against me. You made me live as a rejected woman. All for what? Mama Shibuzo's eyes filled with tears. Please, forgive me. Okasha shook her head. God will judge you. As she spoke those words, Mama Shibuzo's body shrugged for the last time and then she died. Chidi, Ngozi and Chinaza fell to their knees before their mother. Mama, please forgive us, Ngozi sobbed. We were blind, we were bewitched, and we didn't even know what we were doing. Mama Bikozianu, forgive us. Chidi bowed his head. We threw away the only person that truly loved us. Mama, we know we don't deserve your forgiveness, but we beg you, please forgive us. Tears rolled down Okasha's face. You left me to die. You believed them over me. Chinaza gripped her mother's hands. We know and we will never forgive ourselves for that. For the first time in months, Okasha saw genuine remorse in their faces. You believed them over me, she whispered. We were deceived, Mama, Chidi said, his voice breaking. But now we see the truth. They sobbed, holding onto her legs, pleading and begging. Finally, Okasha sighed deeply. She reached out and placed a trembling hand on Ngozi's head, Chidi's head, and Chinaza. I have already suffered enough, she whispered. I will not carry hatred too, so I forgive you. Relief washed over them. They held onto her tightly. They cried and begged. So, the next day, they packed her few belongings and took her back to the city. The moment she stepped into their house, they showered her with everything she had lacked for years. They took her on vacations and bought her jewelries. They really spoilt her silly. Then, one evening, as they sat in their living room, Chidi looked at his mother and said, Mama, what do you want? Name anything, just anything, and consider it done. Okasha smiled and said, I only want to see my grandchildren. Ngozi laughed through her tears. Mama, so that is what is on your mind. They all laughed together. Their broken family finally was whole again, and for the first time in years, Okasha felt at peace. This story teaches us that truth will always prevail, no matter how long lies and deception may thrive. In a world where people can easily be misled by false prophecies, baseless accusation, and manipulated emotion, it is crucial to seek truly the face of God. It also reminds us that mother's love is selfless, sacrificial, and unwavering, and should never be taken for granted. Furthermore, this story also highlights the dangers of jealousy and bitterness. It proves that harboring resentment can turn a person into a monster overnight. Above all, this tale emphasizes that forgiveness is powerful. Thank you so much for watching this story. And if you enjoyed this story, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel, like, and leave your thoughts in the comments till I come your way again with another interesting story. Stay blessed.